From day one, society ingrained into us to study hard, get a good job, contribute into Social Security, save into a 401k, and then finally retire at 65. Then you will have a wonderful, carefree life in those golden years, supposed to live comfortably and happily ever after. Does it sound believable? But the story of retirement is a myth, a fairy tale, and it is very blurry for most Americans. Why? Do you know how much you need to save to be able to retire? Do you even know how much you will receive after retirement? Will it be enough to live comfortably? Are you saving enough? Well, don't feel bad. Most don't know how to go about it, as there are a lot of uncertainties. Let's take a look at how this fairy tale even started.
The concept of retirement plans goes back to 13 BC, when the Roman Emperor Augustus paid out a pension to his soldiers who had served at least 20 years, but it was just to avoid rise up against the empire. Outside the military pensions, it wasn't until a few thousand years later that we saw civilian workers receive a pension with the London Port Authority in 1684, which paid out half their income. That pension was fully funded by setting aside 50% of their pay. In 1889, German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck introduced the first modern-day Social Security. He ironically did it in an attempt to preempt a growing socialist movement that ultimately led to the rise of Hitler and the National Socialist German Workers' Party, Nazi. And private pensions started in 1875 with American Express, offering the first private sector retirement plan. Pensions for the next 75 years were rare, but after President Roosevelt imposed wages freezes and salary raises during World War II, companies offered pensions in an attempt to retain and attract workers. In the 1980s, 60% of private sector workers had a defined pension plan. Today, that number has collapsed to just 15%. Ouch! But in America, Social Security was implemented in 1935 and was created and based on contributions that workers would make into the system. While you're employed, you pay into Social Security. You receive benefits later on when it's your turn to retire. So today, you are funding the retirement of somebody else. Ida Mae Fuller was the first to enjoy Social Security benefits. She put $24.75 between 1937 and 1939. Her first Social Security monthly check was $22.54. By month 2, she had almost doubled her investment. She continued to receive checks over her lifetime, taking in $22,288.92 from Social Security that was not paid by her or funded by the government, but funded entirely by other workers. Social Security has two major flaws. First, Social Security was designed to kick in after the age of 65 and older. But at the time Social Security was designed, the lifespan in America was 61 years old. So most retirees didn't live long enough to receive the benefits. Today, with health and medical advancements, people are living longer. Now, the average life expectancy in the United States is 79 years old. So there are more retirees to support, as was expected. More and more people are reaching retirement each day, on the order of 9,000 to 10,000 people a day. This miscalculation poses an ever-increasing strain and drain on the Social Security system. At its inception, Social Security in those times had 192 workers paying into the system for every retired person. Today, there are less than 2.8 workers per every retiree. And even if it worked, Social Security is not enough to live comfortably. In 24 states, the average retiree receives a monthly Social Security check of less than $1,400. 3 states have an average Social Security retirement benefit above $1,500, but none surpass $1,600. That's around $19,200 per year. The average cost of living in the United States, including rent, food, healthcare, transportation, and utilities, is somewhere around $53,000 per household a year. If we use the same methodology used in 1980 by our own government to calculate inflation, retirees today should be receiving a Social Security check that is 46% higher. Employers knew that the retirement scam was not going to work, so in 1978, through their lobbyists and the Chamber of Commerce, Congress passed the 401k Act in order to shift the responsibility onto the individual rather than the employer.
A new survey from Boston College's Center for Retirement Research demonstrates, however, that 401k plans are designed to fail millions of Americans. They're not offered by enough employers, they're not taken up by enough workers, and for most people, their balances aren't large enough to provide for a decent retirement.
There's a new survey out revealing baby boomers are unprepared for retirement, having less than half of what they'll need in savings. That's what that graphic shows. They need on average $658,000, they have like $263,000.
It worked out nicely for early retirees. Specifically, it's those who retired in the 1990s and early 2000s who have benefited most from this plan because of their good timing. They made their 401k withdrawals during a time of a booming stock market with high rates of return on their savings and low taxes. In order for a 401k saving retirement account to work for you, you have to save a lot of money. For example, if you earn $59,000 a year by the age of 30, which is about the average salary in America, you have to save about half of your annual salary for retirement, $29,500. By the time you're 40, you should have doubled your annual salary. By age 50, you should have 4 times the amount. By age 60, you should have 6 times the amount. And by age 70, you should have 8 times your annual salary saved. So a 70-year-old that makes $59,000 a year for 40 years should have $472,000 in his 401k. Are you behind?
If it's any comfort, you're not alone. Nearly 40 million American households don't even have a retirement savings account.
Another failing program is CalPERS, the largest public employee pension system in the United States, which today is collapsing as well to the point of no return. The major challenge is that its $324 billion pension fund is about 35% short of the amount needed to cover current and future pension obligations. Therefore, the shortfall happened because CalPERS fund hasn't grown fast enough to keep up with the cost increases caused by the growing number of public employees, higher salaries, and the more generous pension benefits.
So, basically the concept of retiring comfortable in your golden years, so-called conventional retirement, is a myth.
Retirees face the risk of either spending too quickly and outliving their resources, or spending too conservatively and depriving themselves of necessities.
It never existed. The public pension system is toasted and no one is even trying to fix it.
They all have assumptions of 7% or higher annual returns. Yet even during 2016, when the S&P 500 rose to 9.84%, CalPERS and many other pension plans' return was only 0.6%. The idea of retirement planning needs to be reimagined, and there are better options. The wealthy have been using more accurate and profitable investments without relying on Social Security, 401k, or any other retirement plan. Despite the failings, with no correction in sight, the retirement cartel, made up of financial advisors, banks, insurance companies, their agents, and brokers, with their massive marketing budgets, continue to sell us this fantasy, making a fortune in commissions and fees. We don't know how the stock market is going to perform. The best long-term investment is not bonds or stocks, but real estate.
The reality is this. Talk to a bank, talk to a lender, and ask them if they will lend you money to buy that apartment building down the street from you, and they will. Why? Because they know 20 years from now, that piece of dirt, that building will still be there. The need to rent and live in apartments will still be there. But ask that same lender, that same bank, will they lend you money to buy their own stock? And they'll say no. You know what that means? They believe more that 20 years from now that real estate will still exist than they believe their own company will. That's why they'll lend you money to buy that real estate, but won't lend you money to buy their own stock.
Family Financial Strategies cuts through the uncertainty and confusion of long-term financial planning and provides straightforward guidance for those seeking financial freedom, security, and stability over the course of their lives. Before, our retirement income was managed primarily by someone else, and they have not done a very good job. Companies paid pensions, and when coupled with Social Security, that meant many families didn't have to take much responsibilities when it comes to financial planning. These days, however, that burden has shifted significantly directly to the individual.
Our mission is to assist each family based on their concerns and goals. We take our time to analyze all options and provide resources in estate planning, wealth management, tax consultation, entity formation, and retirement planning that often includes a rethinking of how money is spent, borrowed, and allocated.
Family Financial Strategies will help you preserve your wealth for yourself and your loved ones. Enjoy life. We do the work. Your success is our goal. Like your physical health, your financial health requires regular checkups. Visit family-financialstrategies.com for updates, videos, and written articles.